So Dindorf, Epistates as v. 2 Apo, added by Hawarden, 3 Prostasius Dindorf, ed. 4 Cor, of added by Hawarden. So Valesius, Probasilucoton P. Attalus Iti, came to the throne in 139, 8 BCE, but since the present account follows the outbreak of the Servile War, it was probably reserved for the occasion of his death in 138 BGB. 2. The text of P shows a lacuna at this point. 3d. Added by Valesius. So Dindorf, Catalalipto v. 2 Apan Trapanai Dindorf 4, Epanatrapenai, v. Trapenai he v. Trapenai Hawarden. 3.2. Added by Hawarden. This chapter probably relates to the fall of Numantia, CP, Appian, Hisp, 9698. 2. Tai. Sempronius Gracchus, the famous tribune of 133-8 CE. His father, of the same name, was consul in 177 and 163 BCE. His mother was Cornelia, hardly less famous than her ill-starred sons, Tiberius and Gaius. Ton elicioton de Salmasius, Bietna Wobst, Teton elicioton P, ton elicioton Valesius, Vulgate, Oclades Hawarden. 3 Prin, added by Hawarden. Or perhaps add below, before Carcinina. The reference is clearly to some opponent of Gracchus, perhaps Octavius, since Plutarch, Sevenus in Gracch. 10 speaks of their almost daily debates before the people. 2 M. Octavius, Tiberius' colleague in the tribunate, who opposed his agrarian legislation and was deposed from office. So Dindorf, ed. 4 Cor, Epeninekthai v. 2 Jacobitalites, toi alta. 3 So Reis, Brachiosi Sunacroteriazontes P1, according to Plutarch, Tai. Gracch. 11. 34. Tiberius felt that one or the other, not both, must go, and offered Octavius the privilege of introducing a prior motion to depose Tiberius. 2. Tiberius Gracchus. 5 P. Scipio Nasica Serapio, at this time Pontifu Maximus, who led the senatorial band of assassins, ep. below, chap. 33, 67, and Plutarch, Tai Gracch, 19. 4 P. Cornelius Scipio Africanus Aemilianus, who is now at Numantia. His words are a quotation from Homer, Ode. 1.47. Keep. Plutarch, Orp. Sit. 21. 5 i.e., the followers of Eunice, keep. Above, chap. 2. 24. 5. The sacred fish were undoubtedly those of the fountain of Arethusa at Syracuse, sacred to Artemis, see Book 5. 3. And the offenders, the rebellious Syriani slaves. The punishment was particularly apt, as sacred fish were a regular feature of the cult of the Syrian goddess and were taboo to her worshippers. See Oxford. Class. Dict. SUV fish, sacred. Tio tu Diegolios, Uios, Zibelmios, Ezi 1ts, Blasphemius Dindorf, Rich, Blasphemia v2 So Dindorf, Apollosen v3 Peri 2 Sibulis Cresmos, after Sicilian deleted by Dindorf, 4 Ethos Ecausi Hawarden, 5 So Dindorf, Catholomino p. 6, So Dindorf, Ephilomenos p. Cicero, Ver. 4, 108, mentions this embassy, which was prompted by portents following the assassination of Gracchus, but states that it was sent to the temple of Ceres at Enna. 2. The date of chapters 11-13 is determined only by the position of the fragments. 3. On Diegeles see Book 33, 14. The son's name appears below as Ziselm's name appears below as Ziselmius, and in Valerius Maximus. 9. 2. Ext. 4. As Zisimes. O Dindorf. In a prize P2 So Valesius, Genomenon P3 So Dindorf, Ipotomatisai V 4 So Mayi, for the oracle C Suides, SV Arzados, and CP Pausanias. 10. 15. 8. The title bull-horned refers to the Attalid claim of descent from Dionysus. The oracle was perhaps mentioned there in connection with the will of Attalus, i.e., leaving his kingdom to Rome, or with the career of Aristonicus. Koinon ortu Valesius, koinon, 5, ake, p oikein bietna wopst, tu ok Archestes Valesius, Eucharestes p8. So Valesius, Kestin, 8, Kestin below. All 4, so Boissevain, Medoken v, men Edoken Dindorf, Edoken Herwerden, 5 men added by Herwerden. In 1338 1 BC, the long-standing dissension between Ptolemy v. Euergetes I Physcon and his sister Cleopatra I.E. came to a head, and he was forced out of Alexandria, finding refuge in Cyprus. The murder of Memphites, related also by Justin, 38. 8. 1315, probably occurred late in 131 BC. 5 Arsaces v. Freites IIE. In 138.0, Antiochus v. Euergetes, Sidates, the brother of Demetrius I.E., defeated the Parthians in 3 battles and recovered Babylonia and Media. The following spring, while his army was still scattered in winter quarters, Antiochus was killed in a surprise attack. So Herwerden, upoke menin v. 2 so Dindorf, out tpg, elabe Herwerden, and elabe v. elabe Dindor. 2 so Dindorf, epithet menin v. 3t added by Herwerden. 4 so Dindorf, Decaiwa v. in 129 or 128 ZC traits, was to fall in battle against the invading succors. 226. Seleucia on the Tigris, which Freites had recovered by his defeat of Sidates. 5 Herwerden, Dindor 4, delete Tuflos, Boissevain considers it corrupt. So, Bitna Wopst, Orton P2 Basileus, Satrips, Valesius. 1 Otto Bengtsson, München NF 17, 1938, 100, 169, 170, argue that the designation 6 Presbyteros was never applied to Euergetes, and accordingly refer the present passage to Ptolemy X Philometer, soter it, and date it to 110 or 110 or 110 or 110 or 108 BC. But this date seems impossible to reconcile with the position of the fragment in the Constantinian collection, and since the offending phrase occurs in the introductory clause, it seems preferable to ascribe the blunder to the carelessness of the excerptor. See Fr. Walton, AJP, 77, 1956, 409,412. 2 Posidonius, Jacobi, G. No, 87 Fra 13, calls him the tyrant of Babylonia and Seleucia, and Justin, 42. 1. 3 says that Freites appointed him governor before setting off on his last campaign. Both authors give the name in the form Himerus. He seems to have reigned for at least several years. Alexander I.E., a pretended son of the earlier usurper Alexander Ballus. Originally a protege of Ptolemy Physcon, Alexander was widely accepted and by 128 5.0 was established as a rival king to Demetrius I.E. His reign lasted till 123 2 SCE. The nickname Zabinus is Aramaic for the bought one. 2 C. Sextius Calvinus, consul in 124 SCE. He returned home in 122-50 to celebrate a triumph over the Gauls. He was the founder of Aquae Sextiae, Aix-en-Provence. 3 C. Sempronius Gracchus, Tribunus Plebis in 123 BCE. The preceding year he had served as proquaestor in Sardinia. Kai Ekbanter Dindorf, Ekbanti V, Ekbanter May. 2 Eunoias, Upabol Mai, Eunoia, Upabals V 3 peri added by Dindorf. So Mai, Dipicroxbani V, 5 so May, Chiron V, R, so Herwerden, Demosian V, as it stands the statement is too sweeping, but the original context may have made it clear that all classes did not include the Senate. The emphatics, these men, tutus, also suggests a more limited group of supporters. 7 so Herwerden, Aporipsas V, 8 so Dindorf, Katakorasaminos V Oisevain suggests cataphrenesis. 2 Kai ton Nomen Dindorf, Kenotoman V 8, Epopilios, May. 4t. Dorodokia Dindorf. 10. Dorodokian v5, so May, prosthex. D. So Dindorf, Upokitai v. Prokitai van der May. 1. This paragraph presents a partial summary of the Gratian reform program. The strong bias of Diodorus against Gaius Gracchus is evident here and in the rest of his account. Gaius had sponsored a bill aimed at Octavius, the old enemy of his brother, debarring a deposed magistrate from Popilius Laenus, consul in 132 CE, who had been in charge of the senatorial court set up to punish the followers of Tiberius Gracchus. 4 May, followed by Dindorf, took this passage as referring to the contest between Tiberius Gracchus and Octavius Cracus and Octavius, Plutarch, 77, Tract, 12, and Appian BC. 1. 12, despite its position here, but granted the similarity of the situation, the whole ethos of the story is completely different. More plausibly, it is a doublet of the earlier story, invented to contrast the characters of Gaius and Tiberius. Carcopino, in Glotz, Histoire Générale, Hist. Rome. 2. 249,250, refers the episode to the passage of the Lieu de Provocation. 0 Dindorf, Rebusoi v. 2. So Salmasius, Vetsasius, Tessesius, Tzap, 8 So Wesseling, Pisidian PV. Alexander I. Isabenus. 2. According to Justin, 39. 2. 56. This incident took place in Antioch, whither Sabinus had retreated after his defeat by Antiochus v. Philometor, Grypus, the younger son of Demetrius i.e. I non Herwerden, Kai v. non May. 2 Monon, added by Herwerden. 3 So Post, Energian v. 4 Medipot and Dindorf. Medipot v. Orion tis worm, tis v. Dindorf deletes ok. Boissevain suggests a lacuna after Palirorias. R. So Feder, Miller, Bepdoxios 8, M. Fulvius Flaccus, consul in 125-3 CE. He became a tribune in 122 and was Gracchus's chief supporter. In 121, he was perhaps a member with Gracchus of the commission concerned with the colony at Carthage. 7 So Feder, Miller, Tibeneses, Gion Dindorf. Pow! Opimius, consul in 121 BCE, elected as an opponent of the Gratian program. 2 Quintus Antio Iges, for the incident, Cheap. Plutarch, see Grac, 13, and Appian BC. 1. 25, who both present the story in a light more favourable to Gracchus. 3. The text refers for the sequel to the Collectia on the outbreak of hostilities, which is not extant. La Fura, allows so post, a adup, estas Paul. M. Paul. P. T. Ovsvri, Laferon plethe pola proagagon taus allos boisevain. 370. Sulan, 80 boisevain, Raoul Day. 8. A. Av. 3 Nomen. Chi. Iscuroteroi, so boisevain. Vogai 2, Iscuro terois v. 4, so boisevain, diapazontai v. 5 perhaps Porciono, so Walton, Avswai v. CP. Below chap. 33, 3, 4, 4. Kai Yap, the reading is uncertain. Boisevain suggests, from faint traces, proenoistes. Re Plutarch, see Grach. 17, gives the story told here, but identifies the perpetrator of the fraud as a certain Septimuleius, a friend of Opimius. Beginning at this point, a page of the Vatican palimpsest V is nearly illegible, and the page following is totally obliterated. Both text and translation of chapters 30, 800, 30c, 32, and 32 are therefore quite conjectural. For the death of Flaccus, with which chap. 30 was evidently concurrent, see Appian BC. 1. 26. For that of his son, see e.g. Velleius Paterculus. 2. 7. 2. 3. The name is so spelled both here and in the marginal lemma, but appears in the next fragment in the more usual form. The Scordisci were a Celtic tribe of the Upper Balkans, with whom the Romans were periodically at war from 119 BC, when Sex Pompeius was killed in battle with them, to 105 BCE, the last possible date for this passage. 4. A possible emendation, see critical note, would refer this fragment to the defeat of C. Porcius Cato, the consul of 114-8 CE. Seep Livy, Pia, 63 Dio Cassius, 26, 88. Paradoxos, Estin 50 Boisevain, Parado. To. Ovdev v2 Apoblethenta post. 3 So post, Umet. V4 So post, Dikaia. Aglyptos, 5 Ana. DV So Walton, Avi Passan Epibulus, Epitukhan. Au V, Apason Epibolon, Epitukanusin Boisevain, reading Labomenoi, above. And So post style. XVII So Boisevain, Exu Rivi, on the death of King Micipsa in 118-18-8 CE. The kingdom of Numidia had been divided between his 2 young sons, Adherbal and Hyempsal, and their older cousin Jugurtha, whom Micipsa had recently adopted. Hyempsal was shortly ears by henchmen of Jugurtha, leaving the 2 survivors as rival kings. How long Adherbal was besieged in Cirta is uncertain, but events reached their climax in 112 BC. This second legation was headed by Mima Emilius Scaurus, Ep. Sallust, Jug. 25, 5. 411. 8 So post, Exaora. A. She. Vr. Or. So Boisevain. Povov, or Menon v. 10 So Boisevain. Adu v. 11 So Dindorf. Lucein P. Rise Andrasi Boisevain. Locris. M.E. VE2 Cassio Boisevain. The marginal lemma has it 8th key. 3 So Walton. MAV. Epeschi Boisevain. These were Italians resident in Cirta. The exact position and date of this and the following fragment cannot be ascertained. R. P. Cornelius Scipio Nasica Serapio, who died during his consulship in 111-8 CE. Beginning with his great-grandfather, the line of descent is as follows, omitting the first 3 names, identical for all. Nasica, I, consul in 191, Nasica Corculum, I, consul in 162 and 155, Nasica Serapio, I, consul in 1388, Nasica Serapio, Ive, the consul of 111-5.0, Diodorus, or the acceptor, has combined the histories of 1 and I. 4 Cats Arten Salmasius, Valesius, Metaretan P5, So Dindorf, Proacathuson P, So Dindorf, Pleiston R. 2 Ik Heliowoodros Valesius, Ek Pasin Autos R. 3 So Dindorf, Genomines P 4 Ton Ariston Vulgate, 5 Vulgate, omits Genomines, 8 So Salmasius, Valesius, Legon P1 only the grandfather, I, held this honorary position, awarded each quinquennium by the censors. He was designated Princeps Senatus in 147 and 142 ZC. When question had been referred to the Senate, the presiding magistrate called upon the senators in order of rank to express their opinions. 2. Actually, his great-grandfather, I, who at the time, 204-5.5, was a very young man. For the story, see Livy, 29. 10, 11, and 14, Valeria was probably the daughter of M. Varius Lavinus, who headed the embassy sent to Pergamum to fetch the goddess. 3. The opponent of Cato was not Nasica, I, but Nasica Corculum, I, Pantos, Dane, Pantos Hawerden. 310, added by Valetius. Deg so Herwoden, with the deletion of Chi after Elikian below. NP4, so Beatner Wobst, Suckle 2P, Polios Jacobi. Vale Sius reads Tu de plethos aganak tuntos Karl Rion Pupavov. 1. The belief that the decline of Rome was brought on by the removal of all external threats became a commonplace in late Republican and imperial writing, and is especially apparent in the work of Sallust. 2. Nasica Serapio, III, was at the time, 133 BCE, Pontifex Maximus, but was never Princeps Senatus. Possibly, Diodorus was confused by finding in his sources that Nasica led the Senate in the outburst that resulted in the assassination, cp. Plutarch, Thayer, Gracch, 1934. So, Riesc, Pentapeca P2, so Valesius, D for Debietna Wobst, Napoleon PD. After a long digression, Diodorus here returns to his narrative, the death of the consul Scipio in 111 see above, p. 127, note 3. 2. Antiochus X Philopator, Cyzicenus, was a son of Antiochus V. Sidetes and a half-brother of Antiochus VI Philometor, Grypus, his lifelong rival. Cyzicenus, after defeating Grypus, secured the throne in about 113 BCE, but Grypus returned in force a year or so later, probably the occasion for the present narrative, and thereafter the uneasy country was divided between them, i.e. Hiempsal. So far as is known, Micipsa had only the two sons, Adherbal and Hiempsal. Since Micipsa died in 118 BCE, it is difficult to see why this account of him was introduced here. Perhaps, for this reason, the excerptor invented the third son Micipsa, to whom he thought the following description must refer. Note that Adherbal is called the elder, not eldest. 2. Elsewhere, his name is given as Massiva, 3. Possibly identical with Congenetiacus, son of Bituitus, the king of the Arverni, who was brought to Rome after his father had been defeated in 120, 1 BC, and imprisoned at Alba. Added by Valesius. 2. So Wesseling, ton Stratagon P. R. So Valesius, Tapert C4N, added by Valesius, 10 N. Salmasius. 5. So Salmasius Valesius, Cacopathius PSU Prosopoieto Wifestrand. Perhaps a Timian Timon, Warmington, suggests Timon, Prosopoieto C. Marius had accompanied Q. Caecilius Metellus, the consul of 109 BCE, to Africa. 3. He was tribunus plebis in 119 BCE, but failed of election to the aedileship and ran last of the successful candidates for the praetorship in 115 NCE. Etwimos proposed in Dindorf, Omoios P. Dindorfe, 8 Aten Bietna Wobst, the Orton P. the Orton Dindorf. Bocchus was the king of Mauritania and father-in-law to Jugurtha. 1 So Valesius, an Agcaeoterus P2 So Wesseling, Philanthropian O, perhaps Bathios, CP, Book 96, 3-1. 1 Ptolemy X Philometor Sota, nicknamed Lathyrus Chickpea, after his escape in 108-7-8.6. From his mother Cleopatra II, who favored a younger son, Ptolemy X Alexander, he found refuge in 106 BCE in Seleucia in Pieria, where he remained for several years. As so often, it is hard whether Philoi has here the technical sense of a court title. Sheen. Papirius Carbo, as consul in 113 SCE, suffered a disastrous defeat by the Cimbri near Norea. M. Iunius Silanus, consul of 109-3 CE, was defeated in Gaul by the Cimbri in 109 or 108 ACE. Evidently, the present occasion is compared with these earlier defeats and must therefore be dated in 105 CE. Wallius Maximus and proconsul Con, Malleus Maximus and proconsul K. Servilius Capio were both disastrously defeated in Gaul, at Arausio, Orange, and emergency measures were called for at home. This date and placing of the fragment is completely consistent with its position in the collection de Sententias. In this monstrous sentence, Photius has condensed the events of several years. The decisive battle with the Libyan kings, described by Sallust Zug, 101, occurred near Cirta in the winter of 165 BCE, and sometime in 105 Jugurtha was taken prisoner, CPE, books 34-5, 39. for the defeat inflicted by the Cimbri at Arausio late in 105 BCE, see books 34-5. 37. 2 Polybius 6. 26. 6 uses epilectoixelat, sociae extraordinarii. The word logades, below, in the sense of legionaries, appears to be post-classical, and its use here is probably due to Photius, not to Diodorus. Menuetios, Wesseling, deleting men after Ippius, below, CP. Chap, 2, 6 and chap, 2, su. The text of Photius gives the name here as Titus Minucius, but below as Vettius, in agreement with the parallel fragment in the Constantinian excerpts chap, 2. The corruption could have proceeded in either direction. To judge by the sequel, this revolt too occurred near Capua. To Licinius Lucullus, Praetor Urbanus, or Peregrinus, in 104 BCE, A1 so risc, te usime o set. 2 Herwarden supplies autos, or over rios, before Phobothias. Or T. ed. Hoeschel, in margin, torti a, torten set. See above, note on chap. 2. So Feder, Miller, Tigos men, au itios s. Herwarden would add onoma, unless Menuisios is read. 3 ton crematon Hertlin. 4 Feder would delete Idion. So Feder, Epibles 8. 2 So Scaliger, Roderman, Phalatin. 3 6 men aun b, 6 men a, often set. See Marius, after returning to Rome to celebrate his triumph over Jugurtha on January 1, 104 8 CE. And to enter upon his second consulship, was promptly given the command in Gaul. The king of Bithynia at this time was Nicomedes I Epiphanes, 149, 94 BCE. 2 P. Licinius Nerva was governor of Sicily in 104 BCE, either as praetor or as propraetor. Dio Cassius, 27. 93 gives a somewhat different version of the present story. 1 I. If 2 so Dindorf, Ruckeda omits 2 for an account of this sanctuary and its traditional use as an asylum for slaves, see Book 11. 89. It is identified with the present Lagetto di Naftia near Minneo Anc, Mene. Omits Strataton Apollolumenon, Gun Garset. Becker suggests D. presumably the members of his concilium, 2 probably identical with the Alava of the Tinerarium Anton. 88. So, Walton, Ote, Ulomanauto Wesseling, Alonta Scaliger. Aetius added by Wesseling. Omits, Catelabe. Stason A. Taxin Set. 3 So, Seliger. 4 So, or Kata Karugma, and added by Herwarden. Chap. 11 has been transferred here to its proper position beside the parallel account from Photius. 1 an Eden Herwarden, CP, chap. 11. 1. So Dindorf, an Aden P. So Walton, or 2. 2. So Wesseling, Italicor, presumably a toga praetexta or laticlavia captured from the Romans. Impognaiero A, perhaps in imitation of the Syrian usurper Diodotus, known as Tryphon. So in the First Servile War, Eunice had assumed the royal name of Antiochus, books 34-5. 2. 24. 2 Triocala is perhaps identical with Camicus, a fortress near Acragas, CP, book 4, 78, and the modern Caltabellota. Or Wesseling, Epicosmocene, Epidigiu Basilean. He presumably held this appointment as propraetor in succession to Licinius Nerva. 3. The figures given add up only to 16,000, see critical note. 2 Exacus Cilius Wesseling. 3 omits Econ. Epicraton A. Cor. B. Epilecton Set. Becker, Dindorf so Becker, Rayon. 2 D. E Tete Pinoto Noc, de Teta Pinoto. 1. The praetor is perhaps identical with the augur Servilius who successfully prosecuted Lucullus and was in turn prosecuted by Lucullus's sons, Plutarch, Lucullus. 1. so Herwarden, 22 v. 2 May, Dindorf red Catalusane. Marius's fifth consulship was in 101-8 CE. His colleague, who continued in Sicily as proconsul in 100 SCE, was Manius, not Gaius. So Hutton, d. 2, so Valesius, Upatos P3, so Herwarden, Aetiope, 4, so Valesius, Paricomene P5, so Salmasius Valesius, Anticomeno P8, IPs, 80s, EIPs, SEI2s, 1L, Apuleius Saturninus, was quaestor in 104-8, and Tribunus Plebis in 103, and again in 108. While the present chapter could, with chap 11, have been transferred to its proper chronological position earlier in the book, it seemed better to retain Dindorf's arrangement of this and the few remaining chapters, rather than to interrupt the continuous narrative of the Servile War. Or, actually, to M. Aemilius Scaurus, the Princeps Senatus. 5 Pessinus was the chief sanctuary of Sibyl, the Magna Mater. Another version of the story is given in Plutarch, Marius, 17. 56. Battises is apparently a priestly title like Attis, not a proper name. See Polybius, 21. 37. 50 Wesseling, Ortus Miss. Ortu, C, Tu, Jeru, Riaisk. 2. So Scaliger, Ethnon, or possibly sacred object, perhaps with reference to the cult stone representing the goddess, which had been brought from Pessinus in 204 BCE. 3. So Riski, Free So Reisk, Epik Hormenen. 4. Ormitz Ease, Meth Alton Dindorf, Met Alton Dindorf, Met Alton, Paraton Romaean Swedas, 5.0, Asulon, Iron, Upa Swidas, Lock, Seat, Pros 10, Upa O, Epikaimenon Herwarden, 2.1 according to Valerius Maximus, 2.1 according to Valerius Maximus to 8.1 there was a law stipulating that no one could obtain a triumph unless 5.0 of the enemy had been slain in a single action. Orosius, 5.4.7 cites the law as in effect in 143 BCEP. Also Dio Cassius, 37.40, since the arrangement of the fragments in Photius is not a reliable index of their order, it is possible that the present passage refers to M. Aquilius, who for his victory over the Sicilian slaves in 108.6 was acclaimed imperator. The final clause of the passage is certainly Byzantine and not part of the text of Diodorus. 2 Mithridates v. Eupator Dionysius, king of Pontuson 121-63 5.6, and the arch-foe of Rome. So, 2 Tip, chap. 16, Koinino, 2 is after Perrier deleted by Herwarden. 8 Opor Swedas, SV Catastasiasestai, Apo, 4 So Salmasius, Valesius, Ton P, Q, Caecilius Metellus Numidicus, who is censor in 102 BC, incurred the enmity of Saturninus and was interdicted from fire and water by Marius in 108 K. The son, Metellus Pius, became consul in 80 BC, N added by Herwarden. The war is generally known today as the Social War, a designation that first appears in the 2nd century A. The Marsic and Samnite peoples formed the hard core of the rebellion. 2 toys added by Dindorf and Toise Hertling. Plutarch, Marius, 11. 2 gives the figure as 300,000. 1 So Herwarden, Neotericus v. 2 So Dindorf, now Marchesa Savi. Boissevane ascribes the correction to Herwarden, referring it to Naumachias below. 3 So Dindorf, Taus K. Specifically, this may refer to the abortive proposals of the tribune Drusus in 91 BCE to extend the citizenship. 1 So Herwarden, Erisine v.